What's up, guys? Shea Bell, BB Sports. We're here in my facility in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we're going to be going over the top 5 lower body exercises for baseball and softball here. Okay, so if you are not lifting, if you're not doing strength training, you will not play at the next level. Okay, you will be left behind. Now, these are in no particular order here, but they're exercises that we put in our lifts constantly, right? So whenever we're programming somebody's lift, these are 5 exercises that are going to be in anybody's lift, no matter their weaknesses, deficits, any of that stuff. Almost every single workout we have is going to have these 5 exercises. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to start with a split squat. Okay, so split squat is just basically, and you have several different variations to it, and we're going to do a rear foot elevated split squat. Just means foot goes on a bench or a Bosu ball or a box or something, whatever you have there as we go. Okay, so before I get the barbell introduced to this lift, okay, I'm going to kind of go over how we're getting on the bench here as we go. Just going to basically put my foot in the center of the bench roughly. Okay, I'm going to try to have it to where it's in a good spot. It's going to help me support and stabilize here as I go, but my lead leg is going to be doing most of the work. Okay, so it's really trying to isolate that front leg there as we go into it. I'm going to go down into this to about 90 degrees with my front leg there. Okay, most people think you want to stay in a straight line, but really you're going at kind of a slight angle. So our back leg will go out just a little bit, our front leg will go to a little bit to the side there as we go. Okay, just really getting full range of motion as we go into it. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the barbell here, and we're going to introduce it into the exercise. Okay, so the barbell, we're going to get our fingers set in the center of the groove on the barbell here. Okay, we're going to basically get my foot set to where I can just kind of kick back behind me and feel for that bar, for the box there, for the bench. Okay, I'm just going to get my foot set in the center of the bench here. I'm going to try to keep my posture up. I don't want to lean forward too much. I don't want to be really far back. Okay, so just right over that front hip there as we go. Then I'm just going to go down into it here. Okay, so we're just going low into it, back up. Okay, so we're just controlling that from our first move. Like I said, the lead leg is going to be doing most of the work here as we go. The back foot's a little more just stabilizing and allowing me to get that full range of motion there. All right, so that was our split squat variation. So important. A lot of what we do in this sport is single leg stuff, right? So we have to be able to generate power off of one leg. We have to be able to decelerate rotational speed off of one leg. And all that means we're going to be able to generate power. We're going to be able to transfer power and energy to the baseball, whether that's hitting or pitching. Okay, so you got to make sure that our legs are strong on their own there and very, very powerful. All right, now we're going to be going over the next lift that we have in almost every single one of our athletes' programs here, okay? There's a art and a science to programming a workout, right, to make sure that an athlete is very well-rounded and well-built, okay? So, and these are a staple of our workouts, okay? So what we're going to go over is just the barbell deadlift. There are so many variations of deadlifts out there that you guys can do, and each one of them targets a different muscle group. Okay, so we're going to do the barbell deadlift because it targets a little more the backside, a little more glute and hamstring built, whereas say like a hex bar deadlift, it's a little more well balanced. It's going to train both sides of the body a little bit more as we go into it. Okay, but we're going to focus on the glutes, the hamstrings back here for this lift as we go. Okay, so as we get into a barbell deadlift, we want to make sure that our feet are a little wider than shoulder width apart. Okay, they're going to be fairly straightforward with it as they go too. Okay, we don't want to open them too much. We don't want to close them too much. Okay, we want to allow our hips to be pretty free but strong at the same time here as we go. Okay, so I'm going to now, what I like to do with all of our athletes is do a split grip. Okay, so it just means basically One's going to do a reverse grip. One's going to be doing a normal grip. Okay, so one palm up, one palm down here as we go. That means we're going to eliminate the grip strength kind of weaknesses if we have any there, and we're really going to be able to target the legs more. It means I'm going to be able to put up more weight as I go. Okay, so when we go into this, we want our shins right along on that barbell there as we go. Okay, I'm going to do a hip hinge first as I go down into this move. I don't want to go knees forward first as I go. Okay, so I'm going to hip hinge back, and I'm going to keep my back straight going down to pick up this barbell here as I go. My arms are going to go on the outside part of my legs here, and then I'm just going to grab the barbell roughly on the outside of the grooves here in my stance. Okay, so now a good straight back here, butt back. I'm going to make sure I got a little tension on the barbell before I go with my max exertion here, but then I'm just going to go straight up along my shins there. Now when I go back down, I want to try to scrape along the front of my shins here, down into it, keeping a straight back there. I'm going to tap and come back up. Okay, so again, another rep here. We'll scrape it along the shins, butts lowering, back staying straight there. I'm going to tap. I'm going to come back up into it as I go. Okay, so that is the barbell deadlift there. Again, so many different variations there that you can choose from. They're going to target a little bit different parts of the body here. We got single leg RDLs, we got barbell RDLs, we got hex bar RDLs, straight leg deadlifts, all sorts of deadlift variations. But the deadlift should be in your workout, okay? You need to learn how to do a deadlift. You need to be able to put up some weight with that deadlift. Make sure you're taking your time with it. We have to make sure our back's strong, okay? Our core is strong. Our upper back muscles are strong too before we start getting into a lot of weight. Otherwise, you're going to run into issues and injuries because your body's not primed for it. Again, there's an art and a science going into programming a workout. If you get too heavy too quick, you're going to get hurt. Okay, so make sure we're being smart with this one. Now we're going to move on to our next exercise, so go ahead and stay tuned. All right, so we're going into our next variation here, and it's a front squat. Okay, so these are essential. Have them in every one of our athletes' workouts. Okay, so they work a different part of the body. They're going to work a lot more anterior side of the body here as we go. So I'm talking quads here, core, back as well into it here. That's posterior, but it works back. It's going to work your hips. A lot of core and hip stability in this exercise, which makes it awesome for that. You have to have core stability, have to have hip stability in this sport as we go, while also increasing overall strength for our quads and our front side of our body there as we go. Okay, so I'm going to go over a goblet squat here, specifically a goblet mini loop band squat. Okay, so all it's going to be is basically a goblet squat, which we'll explain here in a second, but with a mini loop band around our knees. Okay, so this is also going to target exterior side of the hips, so the lateral side of the hips and legs. So I'm going to take this mini loop band and I'm just going to slide it up over my knees here as I go. All right, so for a goblet squat here, we're going to take the dumbbell and we're going to put our hands underneath it here like we're supporting something heavy above our body. I'm going to keep it close to my chest here as I go down into it. My feet are going to be a little bit wider than shoulder width here. Slight outward angle to my feet as I go. Now, I'm just going to sit down into this here and get low and really support the dumbbell. The dumbbell is going to really pull me over my body this way. I got to make sure my core is firing, my hips are firing as I go. Now, when I go down into it, I want to make sure that mini loop band doesn't go in here as I go. Okay, I'm keeping that mini loop band out as I sit down into the squat. I want to make sure my first move when I go down into this isn't knees forward. Okay, it's going to be a slight hip hinge. Then I'm going to bend my knees and go down into my squat. Really sitting low. You want to think kind of my elbows will go right to my knees there as I go into it. Then I'll come up out of it. So that is a goblet mini loop band squat. Great for the front side of our body here, working our thighs, working our quads there as we go into it, as well as working our lateral side of our hips, so our glute medius, working our abductors, so just our muscles that have the hips go out like that. Great exercise for any workout. It's going to be in every single one of our athletes' workouts here at the facility. All right, so we're going to get into now a glute ham variation, okay? So back extension, glute hams, all very, very important for baseball, softball players here as we go, okay? We want to train our hamstrings, and we want to really make sure that they can stretch and basically contract and have a basically eccentric muscle contraction as we go, okay? So what we got here is we got the barbell here, and we wrapped a resistance band around it. You have to put the barbells on backwards here in order to do this one. So we're just wrapping it around the barbell here. We're going to take it and we're going to put it around our chest, okay? So there's a lot of different glute ham variations. There's glute ham machines, okay? This one's called a Nordic curl, is the kind of normal term for it. It's also, there's glute ham machines that you can use. So for this Nordic curl here, we got a resistance band around our chest. We got our feet strapped in under our bar here, okay? Now we're just going to be slowly lowering my body down. I'm really contracting my hamstrings, my glutes a little bit here as I go into it. My back muscle as well a little, but it's mainly the hamstrings here on this one as we go. So I'm going to slowly lower myself down until I physically cannot anymore. I'm stretching those muscles and kind of lowering them slowly, and then boom, I'm going to pull up out of that with my hamstrings, okay? So the resistance band is going to help me here, but my hamstrings should be doing the majority of the work there as I lower into that, okay? So this is a Nordic curl. It's huge in every single one of our athletes' workouts as we go. Our goal is to be able to get down to the ground eventually here as we go into a Nordic curl and really getting the hamstrings to be able to use their eccentric power there, or eccentric muscle contractions, in order to generate force. We're going to use our tendons, our ligaments, and our muscles there, which is going to maximize our power output. All right, so now we're getting into our last exercise, okay? And this one's very, very important to keeping us healthy and being able to generate more power and strength in our hitting, throwing, everything motions as we go, okay? So the hip thrust, okay? This is great for working the pelvic floor. What it's going to do is essentially, like, when you feel yourself falling over, when you go to try to stabilize yourself or slow yourself down in hitting, when you go to try to rotate your hip muscles, your pelvic floor should be working as you go, okay? Same thing on the mound when you go and throw and you try to like brace through your front leg, when you try to stabilize your inline muscles as you go. That's your pelvic floor, okay? So it's going to work a lot of your pelvic floor. It's also going to work your glutes and your hamstrings and quads, and really just all lower half and core muscles that we use in the hitting and throwing motion here, okay? So it's a very, very important exercise to make sure that it's in your programming, okay? So this pad is a lifesaver here, okay? This is a lightweight, so you may be able to get away with it, but it's still not going to feel too good on your hip muscles here, or hip bones, I mean, when we go into it, because that's exactly where we're trying to slide this up to, okay? So I'm going to place that pad kind of on my belly button to my thighs there, and I'm just going to roll the barbell up into the center of that, okay? I'm trying to put it right on my hip bone there as I go. Now, I got that pretty much positioned. I'm going to put my arms up on the bar, on the bench behind me here. I'm going to then pull myself up out of that and get stabilized on the bench to where my back is on the bench here as I go. Okay, now all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go down low into it, and then I'm going to kind of thrust my hips up out of it, okay? You're going to feel it kind of in your lower back. You'll feel it kind of in your pelvic area there as we go. We'll feel it in our quads from the front. We'll feel it from our glutes, okay? So it's just a great exercise really for everything, lower half-wise, but you're going to feel it a lot in the glutes, the hamstrings, and the pelvic floor there as we go. So we're just thrusting up out of that, okay? We're just controlling our movements deep down into it, high up out of it, and then that is the hip thrust, guys, okay? So again, very, very important exercise in generating power, stability, being able to control it. A lot of times when I see people get back injuries, hip injuries, stuff like that, it's because their pelvic floor is not strong. When they go and say pick something up off the ground, that pelvic floor is not there to help stabilize them and pull them up off the ground there. So then their back muscles, their hamstrings, everything has to compensate, which leads to more strain on the back and injuries there, okay? So this hip thrust can kind of fix that. It's also going to allow us to throw harder, hit farther as well, okay? So hope you liked the video there, guys. Those are my 5 lower body exercises that we have in all of our athletes programming, okay? Essential to seeing college level, pro level results on the field. Make sure you have the right programming, the right exercises, okay? It can make all the difference for your on the field results. So I hope you liked the video, guys. If you liked it, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.